If you'd like to learn how to lose 10 pounds by dieting only 2 out of the 7 days of the week, stick with me through this video because I'll show you exactly how to set up a real diet plan that actually works much faster than simply restricting calories, and it's backed by scientific evidence. So it's an actual no BS approach that'll help you burn fat faster while involving minimal restrictions so you can maintain your weight loss for the long haul. In fact, when comparing groups that underwent caloric restriction to groups that followed this dieting model that I'm about to share with you, the participants from this group found it much easier to stick to this plan without feeling deprived and without feeling like they were even dieting at all. Diet plans that allow you to burn fat without feeling like a burden are my favorite approaches to fat loss because they're easy to incorporate into your busy schedule, and they're also easy to stick to, and consistently sticking to a plan is one of the most important determining factors for success. This plan calls for a form of fasting that you only have to stick to twice a week. It isn't daily like intermittent fasting. With intermittent fasting, you typically won't eat only for a portion of the day, with the most common approach being the lean gains method, where you don't eat for 16 hours of the day and only eat during an 8-hour feeding window. On the other hand, this 2-day diet is often referred to as the 5-2 diet because you get to eat normally 5 days of the week and you only have to fast 2 days per week. This gives people diet breaks and it makes it psychologically easier to stick to. The plan has also been studied quite a bit, showing some really favorable results, especially when compared to caloric restriction models. The one caveat is that to ensure the effectiveness of the 2-day diet plan, you have to make sure that you're not simply pigging out during your other 5 days of the week. Because as I always say, your body's present state, what it looks like today, is the result of what you've done for the days, weeks, months, and years that have brought you to this point. Meaning, everything's about totals and it's about balance. So if you want to ensure that this 2-day diet works for you, you can't be completely reckless with what you're eating during the other 5 days of the week. Before we get into the details of how to set this up and customize it based on your body, let's take a look at a couple studies that demonstrate the reliability and effectiveness of this plan when done correctly. One study conducted at MIT found that fasting for 24 hours flips a metabolic switch in mice, causing their guts to enhance their intestinal stem cells. Fasting for just 1 day caused intestinal cell regeneration to double, meaning it undoubtedly increased the resting metabolism in these mice. Even though this study was not performed on humans, the biology behind stem cells in mice isn't very different from ours. But let's take a look at some human studies instead. One study published in the British Journal of Nutrition divided 27 participants between a daily caloric restriction group and a 5-2 diet group. Those in the 5-2 group ate normally for 5 days and weren't allowed any more than 600 calories during their 2 fasting days. Now for the caloric restriction group, they were required to eat 600 calories less per day every day. Over the course of the study, it took the 5-2 dieters 59 days to lose 5% of their body weight, while the caloric restriction group took an average of 73 days. The only thing that I didn't like about this study was the fact that there were only 27 participants involved. However, luckily there was another study with a lot more participants involved. This study was conducted at the University Hospital of South Manchester in the UK, and it involved about 100 overweight women following a 5-2 diet approach and compared them to other women doing daily caloric restriction. Even though this study was only conducted exclusively on women, men typically experience even better results with fasting, so it's safe to assume that men would experience very similar benefits. During the 2 fasting days, the participants ate a low-calorie diet made up mostly of lean protein while cutting out almost all carbohydrates. By the end of the study, the women on the 5-2 diet lost significantly more weight and body fat compared to the women who tried to restrict calories all week long. And they also improved their insulin sensitivity, which is a very important factor for burning body fat and keeping it off. One thing that I want to once again highlight about this study is that the participants in the 5-2 group weren't pigging out on the 5 normal eating days. Instead, they actually followed a diet similar to the Mediterranean diet. For those of you that don't know, when you're on a Mediterranean diet, you're mostly eating things like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, potatoes, whole grains, fish, seafood, and extra virgin olive oil. Occasionally you'll also eat chicken, turkey, eggs, and yogurt, and you'll stay away from red meat, processed meat, anything with added sugars, refined grains, refined oils, and all highly processed foods. The point is that on the 5 days that they weren't fasting, they were still eating healthy, wholesome, single ingredient foods. They weren't eating cake and ice cream. So now I want to show you how you can customize this plan so you can experience the fat loss benefits for yourself. If you're looking to lose weight and burn fat fast, then you're going to be eating under 20% of your regular daily maintenance calories on your 2 diet days, sticking mostly to protein sources. To simplify this, typically it'll be under about 400 to 500 calories on those 2 days. If you're accustomed to fasting, you could also just completely fast for 24 hours on those 2 days. It's also important to note that the 2 diet days don't have to be consecutive. During the other 5 days, you can eat until you're fully satisfied, but we're going to be following the wholesome single ingredient food only approach. This involves allowing yourself to eat real food that you can only find in the outside perimeter of your grocery store, almost all of which will just be made up of one ingredient. Again, you're mostly going to be eating things like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, potatoes, whole grains, fish, seafood, poultry, eggs, and healthy cooking oils. Make sure you fill up on vegetables on these 5 days of the week because it'll help you fill your stomach up without overeating. Try to go for at least 2 cups of mostly green veggies per day. After the first 2 weeks, as your body depletes excess glycogen stores, you can increase your caloric range on your 2 diet days to 35% of your daily maintenance calories to continue losing weight. And once you hit your goal weight and you want to enter maintenance, you could bump up your calories on your 2 diet days to 60% of your normal caloric requirements. If you're confused about how to find your normal caloric intake, you can use my fat loss calculator that's linked up in the description below. Now, before you go and get started with this plan, I do have to mention some potential drawbacks so this way you know exactly what to expect. Some studies on a separate but similar dieting approach known as alternative day fasting have shown that it's tough to stick to over the long haul. One study in particular divided 100 obese Chicago residents into 3 groups, one of which did an alternate day fast, the other did a regular daily caloric restriction, and the last didn't follow a diet plan at all. By the end of the year-long study, those in the alternate day fasting group lost about 6% of their original body weight, whereas those in the caloric restriction group lost 5.3%, which isn't a big difference at all. However, one thing that I didn't like about this study is that participants in the fasting group were encouraged to eat 125% of their normal daily calories on the alternating days on which they weren't fasting, and the type of food they ate wasn't really tracked. I think if they stuck to the Mediterranean or single ingredient food approach on their off days without trying to eat extra calories, they would have lost much more. But another thing that they found by the end of the study was that the drop-off rate for the caloric restriction group was 29%, while the alternate day fasting group experienced a 38% drop-off rate. The good news is that the alternate day fasting is tougher to stick to than the 5-2 diet because rather than just 2 very low calorie days, you would have low calorie days every other day of the week. Also, some studies have shown that alternate day fasting is better than caloric restriction at reducing specifically fat mass rather than just weight. The bottom line is this: individuals are very different. Some people do remarkably well with a 5-2 dieting approach and even with an alternate day fasting diet, and find it very easy to stick to over the long haul. Others, especially people that enjoy snacking frequently, may do better with a diet plan that allows for a higher meal frequency. I think most people can be very successful over the long run with a 5-2 diet as long as they don't quit early on and allow their body, their hormones, and their habits to ease into this style of eating. When you first switch over, it may be tough, but if you're patient, I think most people will adapt. That's it, guys. I really hope this video has helped you out. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more free content. And if you're really truly committed to losing weight, burning fat, and making a dramatic transformation, but you're still a little confused on exactly how to do it step by step, visit my website and try my 6-week challenge, where on average my clients are losing 20 pounds or 5% of their body fat in just 42 days. It comes with a customized diet plan that changes almost every week, and it also comes with a weekly workout plan and an accountability coach that gets assigned to you to make sure that you follow through on your part. The best part is that as long as you complete the entire challenge without cheating and without quitting, you can have all the challenge material for free. To find out more, visit my website by clicking the link below. Or you could visit directly by typing www.gravitytransformation.com. Studies are linked up below. I'll see you guys soon.